click record here. And let's do this casually. Let's run this bitch. Hello everyone, my name is John Anders Rosenquist and welcome to Behind the Mascot podcast. Here we have the wonderful, the beautiful. If you want to introduce yourself really quickly.
Hey everyone, name's Maxwell Roch. I used to be Wilbur until the fateful accident.
And Max, look, we've known each other for like a while now. We've met in Vegas now, I think 3 separate times, and you've come down to Corvallis. But every single time I've seen you, you've been a blonde. So if you want to explain why the black hair now.
So I had a bet with my roommate. We were watching the college championship game. We were like, oh, let's make it interesting, right? So let's make a bet. Loser has to dye their hair. Of course, everyone would want to go with Georgia, right? So we flipped the coin. I got TCU. I think we all know the story about how bad they lost. So I had to dye my hair and my eyebrows.
Dude, I like the dyed eyebrows, though. That's pretty sick. I'm going to share my screen. I have some pictures and videos of you throughout the past few years that I've known you. And I would want you to kind of explain or elaborate what's going on with that. So we're going to do this by level of difficulty. Explain what's the context behind this photo.
So me and this guy, I don't know who that is even in that photo. No, it's you. Me and my buddy Anders, we went to the Pac-12 championship trip this year, 2022. Yeah. And then we just were hanging out in Red Rock. We went hiking and everything, just being a menace to society. Had no reason to be there, but we still came, right? We still went to Vegas, had a fun time, man.
That was awesome because the other Pac-12 mascots were like out filming a commercial, and we're just getting Snapchats of all of them with like each other's heads on. Like I think either Butch or like the other Wilbur had like tape across his nipples, sending all those Snapchats, and we're just like climbing at Red Rocks. Remember we saw that one couple almost fall and die. I'm like, dude, are they alive?
Yeah. So like the guy disappeared behind the other side of the rock.
We literally were just like, dude, are you alive? So that's some cool. I'm wearing the Beavers gear, and also I don't know if you noticed, but
yeah, I see Viva
Los Gatos, Viva the Cats, baby.
Yeah, I remember I gave you a basketball shirt or something when I visited, right?
Oh yeah, speaking of the time you visited.
Yeah, so I guess like to talk about this, it's like one really cool aspect of doing like the Pac-12 mascots is we're all a bunch of friends. Like you said, I visited Corvallis. I've also hanged out with a couple other Pac-12 mascots. So this is when I came up, and this is when Arizona won. What game was it? Was that the Pac-12?
Yeah, that was versus UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA. Yeah, I remember it was going crazy. It was a fun time.
I
am with the Wilbur jersey.
Yeah, I always love like especially when you come up and when like the Butches come up and the other Pac-12 mascots come up. We really want to have like Corvallis and Oregon State be like one of the most welcoming environments. Like we will drive people from their hotels to come up, and especially because like all the Bennies, a lot of us were in Greek life, just come to the fraternity row. And then just be menaces has been like just so much fucking fun, dude. I've loved that. Speaking of fraternity, number 3.
Just trying to balance in a wheelchair, man. There's nothing else to that story. I'm trying to balance in a wheelchair. I'm perfectly fine. I'm wearing some orange pants, looking good.
We're gonna go into why you were wearing the orange pants very shortly. Okay, so now number 4, I think is a video. I don't know if like recording it might be a little laggy, but can you explain the context behind this video?
Okay, there I am. You see, it's a bit laggy, but you can still see me jump onto the table on fire. So I'm a bit of a stunt man. Just love doing crazy shit. So I just was like, came down to Corvallis, and I was like, yo, watch me light myself on fire. You're like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, trust me, I'm a professional. I got this. So just ran on the table on fire, normal stuff.
What do you mean normal stuff? How does Wilbur the Wildcat light himself on fire and get away with it?
Oh yeah.
How did you do that? Explain the process to the crowd.
So this is gonna sound bad, but there's this car spray I use. It's like for a car cleaner, and you spray it on yourself, then you light yourself on fire, and then you're like safe, right? But it was funny because I did that before I did a backflip on fire, and my advisor called me into her office saying, "This is not an action of a disciplined student or something like this. You should not be setting yourself on fire." I'm like, "Trust me, I'm a professional." So yeah, I got in a bit of trouble for doing some backflips on fire, but it was cool because I also did some grad photos on fire too, where I was in front of the school logo doing like being on fire in my grad outfit.
Can we get it to where Wilbur is able to light himself on fire during a game? Would that not get people fucking hyped?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'll ask the other guy.
All right. This is picture number 4. This was 2021 Pac-12 Championships.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that was fun. I don't even know what we were doing there. I remember we're all sweating. That bus smelled horrible. It was a blast though, dude. That was such a fun bus ride. We were just hanging out on the bus. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I gotta say, I forgot about your haircut.
Yeah, because one of our fraternity brothers was going through chemo, so we all shaved our heads. So I forgot I came to that Pac-12 championship with like a shaved head and like a goatee like Walter White. Yeah, this is the photo. All the Pac-12 mascots, we were filming a commercial, overarching commercial, and they were taking us from stop to stop. So then we would show up to like the Bellagio or something, and they'd be like, all right, we need Butch the Cougar, the Stanford Tree, and the Oregon Duck, come out here. And while the rest of us were just waiting on the bus. But it was Las Vegas, and it was still pretty fucking hot out. So I think this is when, like, you're obviously drinking the water, we're all just sweaty, and I guess I'm just grabbing your nuts in that photo, and this is a classic photo.
I couldn't even see that because our fur blends together. Well, okay. No, do you remember, it's bad to say, but when we were walking right by, like, the MGM line, and I kicked the guy's change jar?
Oh, yeah, tell the story of when we were all just walking, and you were the last one in line, weren't you?
Yeah, nobody told me. Like, Wilbur has like the worst vision in the Pac-12. I remember we voted on the worst like vision, and like Wilbur got the worst vision. So I couldn't see anything. We're all in a line. We're all filming like part of the, Pac-12 commercial for all the mascots. And then there's just like, I'm just falling behind, who was it? Chip. I was falling behind Chip. And then, I didn't see anything. And the next thing I know, I kicked a guy's change jar, and change is everywhere on the ground. I feel bad. It's not a fun time.
Yeah, I remember because we're not allowed to like talk and sit or like interact. So I remember like I just like look around, and you're just trying to convey to this homeless dude whose change jar you just kicked over, and you're just like, because you can't just be like, oh, sorry about that. So that was really funny, and all the other mascots were just like, oh no, just doing their big like gesture. Like I don't even think I bet the worst part is you couldn't even like pick up the change, because like if you look at those like giant furry fingers you've got, you couldn't even pick those up.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
That was funny.
Oh, don't worry, I've still got some more in here. Let's see. Here we go. This is one of the most iconic photos from one of the cursed Pac-12 2021.
I feel like you're using these photos for yourself. You look cool in all these photos.
I look cool in all these photos. I mean,
so I guess this was the second night we were out. So the last night we were there, you see our buddy Anders right there kissing the recently divorced woman. So I went up to her. I asked her for a dance. I was like, "Hey, can I have your first dance?" Right. So I started dancing with her, and then, this man came and swept her from me, he kissed her, and I was like, damn it, I was going for that. So, he swept her away from me.
No,
son of a bitch.
From what I remember that story, I remember, so all the Pac-12 mascot squads, we're just walking around Las Vegas at night, and then we see like these two like 40-year-old moms. One of them had a recently divorced sachet, and there was like some like live music going around, and then the Wilbur T. Wildcat walked over and just said, like, you started dancing with one of them. Speaking of which, I actually have a video. This was one of the videos.
There we go. Yeah, that's when I started. Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, so you went up and you're like, may I have this dance? And I specifically remember the swoops were both just like in shock, just looking at you like, what the hell is this guy doing? Because I didn't include the video of you getting spanked or us both shirtless dancing with the two moms.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
This photo, I remember, was iconic because the woman said, like, oh, I'm recently divorced, by the way. And then she said, I'm recently divorced, by the way. And we're like, oh, cool. And then she said, can I send a photo to my ex-husband?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And then you're like, of course you can send a photo to your ex-husband. So here we have Benny the Beaver and Wilbur Wildcat ruining a domestic affair in Las Vegas.
Every single year, the rodeo is in town during the Pac-12 championship game. That's the thing, is like, so the rodeo was in town, so that's why they had the live music, like the country band playing in it and everything. And that's like, I don't know if she was one of the rodeo people. I believe so, because dressed in the outfit. But it was crazy because there was cowboys, cowgirls everywhere we like walked. I don't know if you have the mechanical bull in there, but yeah.
You're totally right. They're like every single year during Pac-12 championships when all the mascots went. In 2021, like, and even 2022, there's like this like rodeo show going on. So there's like all these like USC, Utah, and like Oregon fans, and then there's just a bunch of dudes in Cowboys hats. So like we go to all the country bars during those times, and we just start riding like mechanical bulls and doing all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, my god! It was. I'm glad the rodeo was in town. It made it so much more fun, man.
Actually, here's another one right here. I just want to share. I don't know if it's gonna be laggy or not, but
yeah, a little bit, but you can still see it.
So you said you're a stuntman, and like that's one of the things I love about you and like the U of A mascots. When you imagine U of A and ASU, you kind of imagine like, I've always thought the Pac-12 mascots really represented the schools they come from. You know, I think like Oregon and Washington, you know, they're more like put together, they're more like corporatized,
but they're more just like straight edge. Meanwhile, Oregon State and Arizona are just the more loose cannons, just like about to do stupid shit. Meanwhile, Washington's the one watching from the sidelines being like, okay, there they go. And they just kind of like laugh and maybe egg us on a little bit. So yeah. You said you're going to be you've done stunt stuff, and I know it's a lot of that from your brother. So can you talk about like your brother a little bit and like the whole Jacksonville game you're planning on going to? We talked about that a little bit beforehand.
Oh yeah, so my brother's he's a professional wrestler. He wrestles for AEW Darby Allin, right? Mm. So he's always doing crazy stuff. You know, he has his own action figure now, all this stuff, like famous dude. It's still funny that I don't ever think of it like that way. He's like, he's just my brother. Mm-hmm. But the company AEW is also owned by the Jaguars, so I'm flying out tonight to go to Jacksonville to basically be dressed up as a Chargers fan and then be attacked by my brother. He's gonna like coffin drop, which is his signature move. So he just basically jumps off, you know, like a ladder onto you with his back, basically. So he's gonna be coffin dropping me from the field goal post.
Are you ever worried about your safety whenever you do any of these stunts? Because I've never seen any other mascot pull this kind of crazy bullshit.
No, I just, you know, if I get hurt, I get hurt, but I haven't been hurt yet. So let's keep going, because it's funny. When I went to UCLA for the football game where U of A beat UCLA, right? And then basically I'm going out with my brother. I'm like falling down stairs all over LA, like filming stunts. Yeah. It's, you know, I was just doing crazy stuff all the time. Got to live, right? Got to take it to the max.
What was it like being suited up in a stadium as big as the Rose Bowl and winning against the ranked UCLA at the Rose Bowl? What was that like?
It was crazy. It was crazy, man. So that's probably one of my favorite games I've ever done, just because, like, you know, at the home game, you have so many of your fans, like everybody. Yeah, I love everybody. It's, you know, it's crazy. But when you have a small group of about like 80 people were there and they were going crazy. They would, like, the fans at the UCLA game, they were crazy. They would nonstop. Wah, wah. And so I just, like, I'm going up in the stands in, you know, an opponent's stadium, and I'm crowd surfing with my fans in their own stadium. And, like, you know, Josie, right? And Joe, they aren't allowed to crowd surf in their own stadium. So I was crowd surfing in their stadium with, like, my fans. So that's a really good memory I had. It was just crazy. And then when we won, I started going crazy. I started running. Like some of the cheer people had to grab me and stop me from running on the field and everything. Yeah, I got grabbed by one of the football players. He picked me up, like, I'm like, woo! It was a blast, man.
Yeah, when we were watching that game in Corvallis, I think we just like dominated like Colorado Boulder or something, and we were all watching that. We were playing Beer Die. I'm like, holy shit, Arizona's gonna do it, Arizona, because we were at that same exact location a week earlier, I think, when Oregon beat UCLA. So we were so excited for you. I think I called you even during that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Speaking of another time I called you, this is gonna be a smooth ass transition. Listen to this. I was driving down to Civil War. I was driving down for the University of Oregon State game in Corvallis, and the traffic from Portland was awful. So, I was at a halt. The rain was going down. And I checked Twitter, and I was like, oh shit. Oh, U of A just beat ASU in the Territorial Cup. I'm like, that's the first time in a while. Very cool. Oh, Wilbur T. Wildcat is trending. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm scrolling through my feed, and I see Barstool Sports. I see a fight. Wilbur and Sparky are just absolutely duking it out. And this had 500,000 views. And I called you, and I was like, Max, what the fuck just happened at the game? And then you're like, oh, yeah, we got into a fight, but so I'm a little busy. I'll call you back. And then, 2 miles later, it has, 2 million views. And I call you, I'm like, Max, what's going on? And specifically, what you said to me was, well, okay, so here's how the fight was shut the fuck up. We just won. I'll call you back. And you just hung up. And I'm like, this dude's ready to party. So I did see on social media beforehand, you and Sparky were kind of about to rough it up. And I have seen you guys fight in the past, but just here's to get it all out. What happened with the Territorial Cup brawl?
So, you mentioned you saw some earlier stuff. So yeah, that morning, we filmed a little video to lead up to the, Territorial Cup, get people excited, post it on our Instagram and everything. Yeah, let's go. And then we were like, oh, we did that. Let's basically let's add something else. Let's do a skit during the game. I had boxing gloves on me. And like you said, we've done the same thing before. When I was at basketball, we did a boxing thing. So I just, brought the boxing gloves with me, ready to do the skit, right? When we're getting ready to do it. I think third quarter. Yeah, it's third quarter. And then we're just getting ready, okay, let's film the skit. So let's get into place. He gets the gloves on. I get the gloves on. We said, okay, let's keep it not too crazy, but let's make it look good. Let's make it look good because, our rivalry is a good rivalry. Arizona State, the fans, they go crazy.
Yeah. You guys are both, all the Pac-12 mascots, we're such close friends, but you guys were just yeah, we know each other, so we can duke it out, but these guys don't know that. The fans don't know we're friends behind the scenes, so we need to do this for the fans and start getting into it.
Yeah. So we said, let's make it look good, We said, let's try not to hit the heads, just, in case they fall off, mascot code and all. But
you're bouncing back and forth. First off, that was very cordial of the two of you of bumping fists together. That was probably about as cordial as it got, huh?
So you'll see right here, we do a little, tap to his face. Okay. Acts big and tough. But okay, let's get into it. Boom, boom, boom. We start throwing, light. He's like, oh, it hits my head a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. So let's go, buddy. Let's make this serious, right? So, we start right here. You'll see it. We start throwing a bit harder and get a little scrappy right there for sure. And then the cheerleaders come in, pull us apart, and we just keep swinging. Yeah, it was crazy, man. So, so you see the video, you see, we start throwing some punches at the end, but we're wearing boxing gloves, we're mascots. So, you don't think it looks too serious, right? You can see it's a little skid and everything.
I think the funniest part right there is Sparky's tapping his head a little bit, and it's just this fun little oh, haha, it's a light tap. And then even when right here, you guys are fighting back and forth, and he kind of walks away, and it just gets more intense. You're punching him in the back. He's oh, what the hell's going on?
Mm-hmm. You don't walk away, and then here we go, and boom, boom, boom. We just start slugging right here.
Dude, I love how the head just twists back and forth. Were you even able to see half the fight?
No, dude, I couldn't see anything with that. That's why when we went into it before, when we were planning the skit, we're okay, let's do no headshots, right? I have a bigger head, mine's gonna spin. So as you can see why we didn't really want to do headshots, but you get carried away in the moment.
Dude, there's a single frame here, a single second here I love of Sparky being held back and still throwing the punches. I think it's hilarious right there.
Yeah, you can see when my guy grabs me, he my cheerleader, I break free from him, I jump away from him, and I start going back towards Sparky too. So it was just funny. And there's another video where you can see my cheerleaders are just laughing so hard. The one guy in the background's laughing so hard, and it's a good time and everything. But someone someone got the angle from behind where it looks a bit like people couldn't see the boxing glove. So it looks like it's a bit more serious. Like people thought we got in a real fight. I later heard like security got on the radio, like the whole security team, like Wilbur and Sparky are fighting. Watch out.
Watch out. Like if someone tries to stop them, you'll start fighting them too.
I don't know. I just was talking to one of the security guards after it happened. He was like, yeah, I heard there was a fight or something.
So what was like the first moment you realized like, oh shit, I just got in bad trouble?
Oh, you know, we did the fight, right? And you know, I got a little talking to right after it happened. They're like, oh, just be more careful, right? Just come on, like be smarter in the future, right? You know, like maybe not the best time to do it, right? Because they just scored a touchdown. So we were filming it right after they scored a touchdown. So but you know, we just set the skit up. So it's like, okay, you know, cool. And then, you know, I just like next thing I know, I got a text because I'm in the locker room just taking a quick water break. And next thing I got a text, you know, it's like, get Max out of suit. He can't be in suit. And then like that, like apparently that came from the athletic director. They were like, who's ever in that suit, get him out. They were like furious at me and everything. And it was such a funny time, man. It was just, because, you know, I've been seeing like, we talked about it last time, you know, when you sent me the video, it's got like 5 million views or stuff. And I'm just losing my mind, you know, I just, how crazy and how big that video blew up. That was beyond my wildest expectation, you know?
So yeah. How did it feel to go famous? How did it feel that was your swan song? And like, you were already planning on like, you know, finishing up your like career as Wilbur. How did it feel like that was your final swan song?
So like, yeah, you know, some people would say it's like, oh, you know, going out like that is like, you know, you went out, you know, trouble, you got fired or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But dude, like I did my job as a mascot, right? I made Wilbur the most popular he ever was. I mean, it was on TV. They put it on TV. They put it on during other college football games and other football games going on. They highlighted it, you know, they had the announcers talking about it. You had like Gronkowski reacting to it on like his little show where he like spikes it or not, right?
Wait, so, they had Rob Gronkowski react to your fight with Sparky?
Yeah. It was funny. You know, so it's just, I think it was an awesome way to go out. You know, I did my job, you know, I was going to be done in about 2 weeks anyways. So it's not like too bad. You know, I had my good times as Wilbur, right? And it was just an awesome way to go out. And it's a memory I'll hold on forever. I mean, I tell people I was at the Phoenix airport and then I was helping, I was a Wilbur and stuff, you know, I fought Sparky and they're like, oh, I saw that video, you know, and like, it's an awesome like way to go out and, you know, something memorable that's like, I'm never going to forget.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, that's like as much as you can ask for. I mean, like athletics, they can get mad in the moment and it's like understandable for them to get mad in the moment, but they're going to love that video in like 10 years, 15 years. It's going to be like a total iconic moment. Like there's still videos of like Benny fighting the duck, like in Civil War, like 1990 of him just beating him on the field. And that's like still like 100,000 views on YouTube.
An awesome way to go out. You know, I got a lot of people bought me drinks after that for fighting the Sun Devil.
That's another thing. I think Sparky's been getting away with a lot this season. I mean, he's not done anything bad, but during the fight, you're the one that caught the blame for that. And also during the Stanford Free the Tree, we're going to interview the Stanford tree very shortly. He's the one holding up the Stanford Hates Fun sign. The tree is the one that got in trouble for that. So maybe it might be Sparky is the one instigating all of this. ASU Sparky.
Have you ever approached marketing with the concept of the idea of lighting Wilbur on fire?
Oh yeah. I had so many different schemes. I was like, look, you know, people always talk about, you know, Sparky the Sun Devil, like he likes fire, all that stuff. I'll walk up on fire up to him and be like, oh, you don't got shit on me, man. You know, splash him out or something like that. You know, a bunch of different stuff. I don't know, dunk the basketball on fire too. Wear a cape, set the cape on fire. I had so many different ideas. So, but yeah. I'm not surprised they always said no. Like, I understand, you know, maybe don't want the mascot on fire, but it would have been cool. That would have been so excellent.
That's the number way to alpha the Sun Devil is Sparky can come up with your pitchfork. Be like, dude, watch this. And you light yourself on fire. What could go wrong?
I also, another thing I really wanted to do, I got my skydiving license last summer. And so I was trying to get Wilbur to skydive into the stadium. So, you know, I talked with a bunch of experts. I had a few like Red Bull skydivers who skydived into the stadium before to like go tandem with me, all this stuff, you know. They say, oh, no, we can't do this. Too much risk, too much risk. I'm like talking to lawyers. I'm getting these write-ups and everything. I'm trying my best, right? And they keep saying, no, it's not working. It's not working. You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
You know, I tried so hard and they're like, oh, no, you know, the Oregon Duck tried to do it. His head flew off. It's too much of a risk, blah, blah, blah. I don't see other mascots doing it. And guess who does it the next week after I have that conversation?
Sparky?
No, not the BYU mascot.
Oh.
If I can come skydiving into the stadium, I'm like, oh, what the hell is that? You know?
Dude, that's one thing I'll say. Me and Daniel, we were talking about other mascots, and at least for college mascots, a lot of them, they're just guys who are like majoring in like bio or finance. It's not like they came into college really expecting to be the mascot. But the BYU mascot, that dude is consistently one of the most jacked and talented guys I've ever seen. I don't know how they get the guy that keeps on doing that consistently and those push-ups and flips. It's insane.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've met one of them when we played against BYU, right? So it was a cool dude. You know, he just was like walking in the hallway. I was like, I'm just gonna do a backflip in the middle of the hallway. It's like, oh, okay, dude, come on.
No. It definitely gets to that point too, where it's like kind of like it gets like this level of cheesiness I see with the BYU mascots. I'm just like, oh, come on, dude. You really have to like flex on the rest of us like that.
If you could do a backflip like that at any time, like you would be flexing too, right?
Oh, no, I totally would. I would absolutely would.
I practiced a few times, right, in my the Wilbur suit. I actually landed a backflip a few times in the Wilbur suit, and that was crazy. I was like, I had to be on a springboard to be able to pull it off, though. So
there's some mascots like Swoop and Sparky. We are also talking about the men's basketball game we always do at the Pac-12 basketball championships, and how every year it's just fucking Swoop and the Duck. The guys who can move and see the most are the ones with the ball. And then it's just us who can barely see, just trying to manage what's going on. Meanwhile, the Stanford tree is just bum rushing the Pac-12 South, just tackling everyone. Were you ever able to score a bucket during those Pac-12 halftime matches of mascots?
I never went to one of those.
Really?
No, I was never able to go to a Pac-12 tournament, because of COVID, and then like the other, person taking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never actually able to go myself.
Yeah, but you were able to go to the March Madness, that crazy Arizona TCU game. You were there for that, right?
No, I was not there for that. I was at the Houston game.
Oh,
where we lost. Yeah, I know. But it would have been awesome. I was actually at the bar watching the TCU game wearing my Wilbur jersey.
Yeah.
And I was like, with a bunch of people going crazy. So I got a good memory from that one.
It's kind of a broad question that we both just kind of take for granted, but other listeners and people might not understand. What does Wilbur T. Wildcat represent to the university? Like, what kind of vibe, when people see Wilbur, what do they think of?
So, I mean, everybody has their own unique interaction, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's not just like a universal interaction you build with fans. You make each fan like have a unique interaction. So there's a lot of different ways people could see, Wilbur. Like sometimes I was very goofy. So like, oh, that guy is kind of like a jokester or something. But sometimes, I'm like very nice. Like a kid falls over, I pick the kid up, tie his shoelace, or try to tie his shoelace the best I can. So people are like, oh, he's a nice dude. But like, I'd say overall, like Wilbur definitely is like the respected like jokester. He doesn't ever take it too far, where he's like an ass or anything, but he does like to joke around. He likes to have a fun time, but he also really cares about like his community and everything. And you can see that with Wilma too. That's a big thing, is being a married couple. It's really different from like other mascots where like you're by yourself or something. It's you really get to rely on the other person. So like Wilma, you really get to work with Wilma, rely on Wilma to do a lot of stuff. So it's a unique relationship that not a lot of, I guess, other mascots really get to have all the time. Because every once in a while when we're all together on the road doing the Pac-12 trips, it's like, oh, it's so fun being able to interact with other mascots. So that's kind of how it is for us most of the time.
Yeah, like I said, with Benny, I can go up to a bunch of sorority girls and start flirting, and I can be kind of flirty. And if I see like a mom, kind of like I'll shake my tail at her and she'll be like, "Ooh, Benny." But like with Wilbur, how does that dynamic change when you have a canonical wife and you have another wife mascot going? How does that kind of work?
So we still would kind of do some of the similar stuff because it always gets a joke out of people. If I'm talking to, like some like mom or something, Wilma would come smack me on the head, drag me by my tail or something, joking around. Sometimes she'll be talking to a dude. I'll go walk behind him, tap on his shoulder, like, who are you talking to? So it's like being able to joke around, but always like at the end of the, day, we'd basically hook arms, walk away together, do a fake kiss, pull out the hat, so there's a lot of good interactions yeah.
I guess my next question, as Wilbur T. Wildcat, which Pac-12 mascot are you most scared of trying to hit on Wilma?
Oh, I'm not scared of any, man. Wilbur has it locked down.
I don't know, those Butch D Cougars, those guys have some unexplainable Riz game, dude. I'd be careful.
I'm telling you, the Wilmas are scared of them. They're like creeped out by that dude. So I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all.
Some of my favorite things that the Butch mascots do is they do that like laugh with the hand in front of their head and they shake their head back and forth. That's always been.
Well, here's something funny. The Butches would DM Wilma on the Instagram at like 2 a.m. like every couple of weeks, and this was a constant thing. They'd always be sending messages to them, right? And they're like, "Hey, how you doing? It's 2 a.m." And I'm talking to one of the Butches, and they're like, "Yeah, we just up late, having some fun." We're like, "Let's message Wilma at 2 a.m." So yeah,
that's also another thing that I don't think people really know is that the mascot bit on the social media as well. You talk to other mascots and you do it in character, and it's really funny also. Like the Butches messaging Wilma at 2 a.m. with the "you up" text is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and then I'd message them at like 2:30 a.m. I'm like, you need to go to bed, mister.
So, and all in all, like, what do you think? How has being the mascot like changed you, or like what sort of things has it added to your life?
So yeah, it's just a crazy experience. It's hard to like, I don't know, summarize it up because there's just so many memories and just so many different things. I guess like, I don't know, starting from like the beginning, right? I did the tryout in February of 2020. So like a month before, COVID happened. So like, it was like awesome being able to like think like, oh, I'll be the mascot. I'll get to go out of like football games, like, whoa, hype people up, just, go crazy and everything. And it's like, it's always been kind of my personality, like a showmanship. I was like, did a bunch of like student body stuff up in high school, gave a speech to like 5,000 people. And I've always been doing this stuff. So this was like a next step for me to like go on that like showmanship route. So I was like so excited for all that stuff. And, took about a year since due to COVID, but when I actually was able to go back to like football games and everything, it was so much fun, just going crazy and like doing whatever you wanted to, and people would just celebrate it. That was like some of the craziest parts of like being a mascot, you know what I mean? But looking at some of the like, I guess, quieter moments of being a mascot, because not every time is a football game, right? Sometimes you're at like a daycare or something, you're getting to be able to interact with like little kids and stuff. And I'm playing a card game, I can't see the cards, but I'm throwing random cards down, like, Wilbur, that's not the right card, I'm like playing Old Maid or something. But yeah, just having good times like that, and really made me appreciate like, I guess, the small moments in life, because before that I was so focused on like, let's do big stuff. And that's kind of the reason I joined, I became the mascot. I was like, oh, this would be awesome. Like stadiums, like thousands of people, do all this big stuff. But like my favorite memories were always the small mascot ones. Those were always like some of my best ones, when I'm just interacting with a little kid, or something. And he's like trying to grab my tail, and I'm like, it's just good memories like that. Just the small, simple ones. So
yeah, 100%. A lot of times people think like the mascot is just like the big bombastic, and he is, don't get me wrong, for a lot of that. But some of those smaller events with like, especially with like children, really those are some of the most special ones. I remember one of the most special moments for me, I remember, was a volleyball game. It was against the University of Oregon. They're supposed to be like our rivals, our big rivals. And like a little kid wearing Ducks gear came up and like offered me a hug. And so I gave him a big hug, and all the parents were taking photos. And there's a really cool photo of me hugging this little duck kid. And that I thought that moment was like really tender. It's like, no matter like what rivalry there is, everyone wants to hang out and be with the mascot. And just like that interaction was also just as special as revving a chainsaw and taking shooters at halftime. Like,
you alcoholic. Yeah. So, you know, just there's a lot of big moments, but I think it's the special moments that leave some of the biggest impact because, yeah, you know, doing that like fight or stuff, getting millions of views, like that's awesome. That's something I like, oh, that's awesome. Like such a cool way to go out. But, you know, like what made Wilbur the best was those like small fan interactions, you know. I did a appearance at Diamond Children's Hospital right here, and they're opening up a new ward for some of the sick kids, right? And I remember it's just, you know, it's very, very special moment to be able to interact with them. I also did like a Tim Tebow Night to Shine, so we were doing a drive-through prom for the kids, and I was able to interact, you know, say hi to them, and it just it's interesting how you can get to interact with people on such a deep level. And like, I'll be honest, sometimes it was like, it made me feel kind of like weird because, you know, people are like hugging you and saying, thank you so much for all this, you know, and you're like a giant like animal. And it's like, it's crazy to see how much of an impact you're able to have, you know, on people.
absolutely. It's not just like the college fan base, but there's like kids that are U of A fans and you get to like make their day. Like for you take thousands of photos like at a game, so you don't really know, but like that one kid you take a photo with, that's going to be like sent to his family. And they're all gonna be like, oh, we got a photo with Wilbur. And he's going to remember that photo of like that time he went to U of A game. It's just the amount of influence and impact you can have, not just on the student base, but as the fan base, and not even just fans, just people that are there as a whole, is super impactful. And those are like the small little rewards you get being a mascot and all the cool stuff, you know, that comes along with it. It's not just all bombastic. It can be, you know, smaller and more nuanced.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, the only flip side of that, the other side of the coin, is when kids are scared of you. Because there are sometimes kids that are just crying and scared of you, and having to interact with that, especially when the parents keep on pushing their kids.
That's what I was gonna say is, you know, the kids, if they're scared, that's fine. But when the parents drag their kid in front of you, they're holding them, they're like, take a photo. I'm trying to walk off. Goddamn, I almost said whack off. Yeah, we're gonna cut this part out. So yeah, you know, you were saying the kids, right? You know, when you get like a scared kid, you know, it's like, kid, that's bad enough. You hear screaming or something, they try to run away, but then their parent picks them up and they drag them towards you, and the kid's like freaking out, and you're trying to walk away, and the parent grabs you and drags you into the photo. You're like, oh, your kid's scared of me, ma'am. You know, it's like, let's come on. And then you take the photo, and then most of the time they'd be like, that photo didn't turn out, let's do another one or something. I'm like, no, we gotta go. The kid's gonna like die out of fear or something. So yeah, you know, it's the opposite side of the coin, like you said. There's a lot of fun memories, but there's also some pretty interesting ones, you know, maybe not the best memories, because I think sometimes people forget there's actually a person under that mascot outfit, and they're like, just sit here for an hour in 120-degree weather as you melt. And they're like, we don't have a bathroom or a water for you. I'm like, what? Come on. You know, so there has been a few times where it's like, you know, you get so mistreated that sometimes you do have to kind of, you know, take charge and tell people like, hey, I'm a person under this suit. And that's one of the good things about the program here is we worked with the cheer team, so we always had someone to talk for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You have like a handler or someone that talks with you and kind of like helps move you around. Either like you can like talk to Wilma, or you can kind of move around like that. Whenever I would talk to other Oregon State students, particularly that I was the mascot, everyone knew about running out with the chainsaw, being on the field, and like winning, getting crowd surfed and all that. But I always kind of liked to share the horror stories, just to kind of like bring it down to reality sometimes, that a lot of the times things, I mean, in retrospect, it's always funny, but in the moment you're freaking out, like your visibility, you only have like a third of your senses, and you're freaking out. You're looking around, just trying to figure out what's going on. Sometimes those can make for the most like intriguing stories of telling people like, it is a job. It is hard work. And especially you being in Arizona, having it be 100 degrees out, like I can only imagine. So do you have any, what's a good like horror story you could share? Because obviously the mascot is a net positive, and it's some of the greatest things we do in our college careers. But then there are times where you sit there and you're like, what the hell am I doing? This is awful. So what's like an example you have of like an event that was just so horrendously bad or just so horrendously chaotic that you just would want to share to have for people out there to know?
So, like usually the worst ones would always be, 110-degree photo shoot or something like that. But like one memory I remember, I don't know if it was scary for me per se, but I'm sure the people outside I'm sure the people around were like, what is that guy doing? Is one time I was filming this little video, right? And people were just like, let's see what happened. So I was filming this video for one of the like casinos out here, right? And they like filmed the video, like, okay, time to go. It was a kind of outside area, so I didn't really have anywhere to go, and I got changed in the car, right? And then there's like a bunch of people that were just watching the video, right? And then they started watching and like kept looking at me, and I'm like, okay, I have to go change. So I'm like trying to find an area to go change, but the building's locked, right? So then like I go to my car, and then people are like watching me in the car. So I'm like, oh, I can't take the head off. There's people watching me in the car. So like, I like turn on the car and start driving with the head on. And I made it out of the little like desert area where no one was. And I was finally able to take the head off and change out of the suit. But I remember that one was a tad scary driving with the head on.
Also, a friendly reminder, I've driven in the car when Swoop is driving, and Swoop wearing the head. Swoop has great visibility. The University of Utah mascot, he's got great visibility. But as someone who's put on every single Pac-12 mascot head, Wilbur has the worst visibility of them all. I think it goes Wilbur is the bottom, then Joe Bruin, then Benny the Beaver in terms of visibility. So driving that car with that head on definitely has to be a federal crime.
Oh, yeah. I was hey, but the Arizona licenses, you get them for 50 years, they don't expire. So yeah, I was good, man. I was sad. Yeah. And then but like surprisingly, I've heard a lot of horror stories from like other mascots, right? But I've never had like that bad of a story. I mean, it's just the occasional, okay, you get like locked out or something. You got to go a little further to a changing room, or someone's a bit rude to you. But like, there's never been like a crazy one that has ever happened to me. One of the previous Wilburs, he has this horror story. That's like, this is the worst one I've heard though. It's he went to like a YMCA, right? And this is like a kid's fair or something. So all the kids are running around tackling him or stuff. They're like really beating him up. They said they even like left, like they got to put a dent in the helmet of the, head, right? So they were like full on, like attacking him. And he's like trying to like push him off a little bit, like trying to get some space or something. And one of the people goes up there, why are you touching the kids? Are you a child predator? And this is just like a horrible. So he's like, I got in my car. I left that place as fast as I could. He was there for like maybe 10 minutes or something. And he was like, yeah, it's not worth it, So that's a horror story, I guess.
I know this is your interview, but a quick one aside. One of the worst events I ever did was like a random basketball game, like Thursday at noon. I didn't have classes. It was a women's basketball game. And as I approached our stadium, there was 50 school buses, and every child in the state of Oregon, it was Kids Day for the women's basketball game. So there was 10,000 kids in our basketball stadium screaming. And these are like elementary to middle schoolers. And they all wanted a pic with the Benny the Beaver mascot. I remember a kid bit my finger. A kid asked if I was a Blood or a Crip. And it was some of the most horrifying. I remember I was just walking around in shock and fear. I think I accidentally kneed a kid in the head, and you can't talk to them in suit. So I just try to like mimic with my fingers and sign language, like, are you okay? Teachers were chasing after me, like trying to get me to do autographs. So like those kids can be absolutely ruthless in the mascot world. I mean, when they're like nice and cute and quiet with their parents, it's awesome. But when you get a mob of them, I am genuinely terrified of kids approaching me in suit.
Yeah. That's the one thing. Kids can either be the best or the worst people you have to deal with as a mascot.
Oh, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Fucking kids. Kids are like super drunk college students. Sometimes those guys can be like, okay, man. One time, like I had a guy be like, Benny, and he like reached through the helmet.
Oh,
and he
when people try to mess with like the suits, that is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
That is some of like the worst ones because people like grab your glove and try to pull the glove off or all this other stuff. So or reach inside the suit, and like do all this stuff. So it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I got one more. I got one more story to tell you. It's like a kind of a horror story. I mean, this is off the record. I didn't really care. I kind of liked it, but this won't go on. But I was at a wedding in Dallas. They flew out Wilbur for a wedding in Dallas. The bride was a U of A alumni, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh, let's bring the mascot out, right? So they brought me out, and I was there for 2 hours, and I never like. I think I took a break for maybe 30 seconds, but otherwise for the whole 2 hours, I was dancing on the dance floor. I was getting crowd surfed at the wedding and everything. But then like a lot of the bridesmaids were old sorority girls at the U of A. So they were very touchy with Wilbur. So I got Wilbur got a bit, he got touched that night.
The old U of A sorority girls. Actually, that reminds me of that one story. They flew you out to another university in what country was that again?
So yeah, Kazakhstan. So yeah, so here you go. I'll tell this. We can set up a whole portion for Kazakhstan right now, I guess. So, one of the coolest, like I guess when it comes to opportunities for like mascots and everything, people think like football games or stuff like that, the local, but like at least for like Wilbur, I don't know how it was for Benny. Sometimes you get to like travel and all this stuff. And one of the coolest like traveling opportunities I had as Wilbur is I got to go to Kazakhstan. And I know you're thinking, Kazakhstan, where is that? It's right between China and Russia. It's like packed right between the two, right? So this is like a far away place. I never heard of the name before. I went there, right? I was like, oh, what is this place? It was the place where Bull Rat, that movie is with Sacha Baron Cohen. That's the same country where it's like that took place in where he's from, right? So I'm like, yeah, sign me up, I'll go. Like this sounds like a fun time. So 2 like 12-hour flights later, I was in Kazakhstan, and one of the funniest parts about this is I got flown out there to be Wilbur, right? But on the way there, Wilbur got lost in like the German airport. So Wilbur's like floating around in the luggage sphere for about like 5 days. And like the event I have to do in Kazakhstan, the big one where they like reveal the new part of the campus in Kazakhstan that's connected to the U of A, the bag is like still missing. And I'm like, it's like 2 hours before, and they're like, oh, the bag just landed. So I run to the airport. I'm in a taxi for a random person that doesn't speak like English. They speak Russian and like Kazakh, right? So I'm just like showing him where the airport is. Like, I need to go, right? So I'm like, go get to the airport, grab the bag, and I'm like, oh, finally got Wilbur, right? Get to the event like 20 minutes before it starts, throw on the Wilbur outfit, and yeah, Wilbur made it to Kazakhstan just in time, man.
Wilbur in Kazakhstan is never the crossover you'd expect.
What's funny is I can send some photos too, but since Wilbur wasn't there early enough, they had me dress up as the other school's mascot, because that's like mascots are not a thing in Kazakhstan. It's not part of their culture at all.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the very first mascots that were ever introduced in Kazakhstan, the eagle, which is the part of their it's on their flag and everything, the golden eagle.
Mm-hmm.
So they had me make like a mascot character for them. Like, they had the eagle there, and like, can you make a character? Like, what does he do? Like, can you help make us a mascot, basically? So they had thrown me in a random like eagle outfit, and yeah, I was.
So how does it feel to create one of the first mascots for a Kazakhstan university?
I didn't know I was going to be doing it until they threw me in suits. So I was coming up with stuff on the spot. What's funny is I was teaching one of the guys. He didn't speak. He didn't speak any English. So we were communicating through body language. The guy who was going to be the eagle and everything. So me and him were like making gestures up and everything. It was like one of the funnest times, because like you don't speak the same language, so you're going like wow, like this. So you probably can't. I don't know if you can see it too well, but so what we would do, you go up like this, put your arms together like flex, and then go up, and then put the wings out, because they had giant wings. So you go like that, and that was that was the mascot, a move we did. So we did that, and like I kind of set up the character and everything, helped him out, and then the day of the big event, the mascot was in suit, the guy who I worked with, and he was doing all the moves and everything, and I'm like, oh, that's so awesome! Like, it was such an exciting moment to be able to help like kind of create, a whole like mascots, I guess, for the, one of the universities. I don't know if it's still being used. I haven't had any, future
Interactions with a Kazakh university.
But yeah, it was a very fun time. It was like, it's cool to be able to help like kind of produce a mascot. It was just,
Absolutely.
Now, if you want to throw this in or something in that portion, go ahead. But it was funny. They give us this whole pamphlet about Kazakh traditions, stuff you're supposed to do, so you know how to behave, right? Because you're traveling to another country, the customs are different and everything. So I go and, I'm reading the pamphlet, and it says something about toast. Like, like when someone gives a toast at the dinner table, you're supposed to like drink a shot or something, right? And then I didn't read the bottom half of it. I only read the top half. So it's like, oh, you're supposed to, drink, right? So, I get to the first like major dinner we have with like the president of the school there, and I'm sitting right next to the provost of my school, which is the vice president, right? So then I have the like shot of vodka in my hand. They all drink vodka there. That's the main drink. So the president of the Kazakh school gives a toast. I drink the full shot, right? I put it down. I look at everybody. Everybody else only took like a itsy bitsy sip of the shot, and I'm like, wait, what happened? What, aren't we supposed to drink the shot, right? I was so confused. So, I'm sitting right next to the vice president of the school. They looked at me and like, oh, you need to calm down there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get like kicked out of school now. I'm drinking in front of the vice president of the school. I'm doing all this stuff,
Wilbur disrespects Kazakh tradition gone wrong.
No. I respected it. I was the authentic Kazakh in that situation, because you're supposed to drink the whole thing, like actually. But what it said is like, it's wise to not drink the full thing, because they'll fill your bottle up right away once you do drink. So you're supposed to drink, a little bit at a time, right? So I drink the whole thing. And then my favorite, one of the funniest things that came from that trip is like the president of the school said choo-choo, which means just a little. So you're only supposed to drink just a little. So my nickname for that whole trip was choo-choo. They're like, choo-choo, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, yeah, come on, yes.
That's awesome.
It's funny. I'm with, like the vice president of the school and everything. It was funny. There's a lot of other, important. I was with like deans. My dean of my college was there, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll take some shots with my dean of my college, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, so it was a fun time. And what was funny is I really like enjoyed that time. So I was, there just like hanging out with like some of the Kazakh people, right? It was just like getting to know like about their culture and everything. And it's like, I was at that dinner, right? So as soon as like all my school people leave, they pull out a whole another bottle of vodka. They're like, are you ready for more? And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I take like 5 more shots with them after like everybody else leaves. So see, I was respecting the traditions in that situation. Yeah.
You have lived multiple lifetimes in the span of just like a few years. And I can't wait for everyone to learn about the guy behind the mascot of Wilbur T. Wildcat. It's so awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been such an honor. And bear down, baby.
Oh yeah, bear down, man. It's been a great time being on here. And this is just the start. I can't wait to do many more adventures. I may no longer be Wilbur, but that won't stop me from taking the rest of my life to the max. And who knows, maybe I'll be a professional mascot one of these days, and I'll be back on.
Yeah, you'll love to hear it. All right, Max, thanks so much for coming on. And this has been Behind the Mascot, interviewing Wilbur T. Wildcat. Signing out, baby. Bear down, baby.